The latest Bloomberg Morning Consult poll shows Vice President Kamala Harris leading Donald Trump by 1 point, which is within the margin of error among crucial swing state voters. So what are we to make of the two dueling campaign strategies we saw play out today, with Donald Trump speaking to the National Association of Black Journalists and Vice President Kamala Harris addressing Sigma Gamma Rho sorority, one of the country's 9 most prominent black fraternities and sororities that make up what is known as the Divine Nine. Joining me now is Faz Shakir, the campaign manager for Bernie Sanders' 2020 presidential campaign and founder and executive director of More Perfect Union. Faz, thank you for being with me. I think today was such an interesting case study in how these two campaigns are operating. And I wonder what you make of the Trump strategy to go to a high-profile conference, take a Q&A session, and the Harris campaign saying nothing of the editorial that emerged from it. And the Harris strategy to go down and talk directly with, a network of black sorority women and organizers, for lack of a better term, who have a proven historical record of mobilizing voters in previous election cycles.
Yeah, Kamala Harris is consolidating the Democratic base, firing people up and spending her time to jump from event to event right now. And next week, I think she's going to 7 battleground states in the course of a few days. So she's on fire and she's trying to build that energy. Trump, I think Yamiche mentioned it in the prior segment. I think she was right on that he wants to get the mic back in his hands. And one of the classic tactics of Trump that we've known forever is that he psychologically trolls his opponent when he feels like the mic has left his hands. So here comes Bird Brain Haley, and here comes Ron DeSanctimonious, and attacks on Jeb Bush that you remember, and Marco Rubio, small hands, and all kinds of things that he has laid at the feet of all of his prior people just to try to psychologically troll them and control the narrative back over to him. And quite frankly, what it does is try to distract the opponent from talking about the things that they want to talk about. You saw on Vice President Harris tonight, she's not going to get distracted by it. I think people just want to see the jab at Trump, but say, I know the messages that are going to win. The 2 words that we've seen from her over and over, Alex, are freedom, which is the freedom to control your own body, freedom to thrive in this economy, and prosecutor. I'm a tough prosecutor who's going to bring accountability to this government and make things happen for you. That's working for her. And the more she does that and introduces herself to a lot of people who are going to come online at post-Labor Day as low-propensity voters and dial into this race for the first time, that's what they need to hear from her.
Yeah, and just as an organizing strategy, it looks pretty clearly, and Tim Alberta has done some great reporting on this at The Atlantic, that the Trump campaign is not interested in grassroots door knocking. They're not interested in the sort of shoe leather campaigning. That doesn't feel like the strategy that the Democrats are pursuing, right? I mean,
yes.
This is like an established network of people who are, already in community with one another and talking to one another in a very real grassroots fashion, as opposed to kind of making hay among, an assembled group of black journalists that don't have any particular connection to Trump or his campaign.
I am confident, you're seeing the enthusiasm already, that the Democrats will have a strong grassroots game in all the core battleground states and beyond to turn out the vote. But I will caution this, because you mentioned this about Trump. And yes, he has a different tactic. He always has. He relies more on social media, not the classic organizing. We now hear from the New York Times that there's a super PAC coming online to try to fill in the gaps for him to do some of this organizing. Here's the caution, though, and I want all our Democratic friends to hear this. Donald Trump has been in 2 presidential elections, 2016, 2020. In each of them, he outperformed the number of votes that people thought he was going to get heading into Election Day. So we shouldn't fool ourselves into thinking that somehow because he's not investing in certain things that we are investing in, that people aren't going to turn out. He's got a high level of loyalty there. These rallies in the crowds that he generates are organizing strategies for them. And I would go into Election Day assuming that whatever the polls are, he's going to outperform them, because that has been the track record. It just means, just like in 2020, our outperformance, our voter turnout is just going to swamp his, and hopefully we crush him.
It's an important cautionary note to sound, Faz, just because we also have reporting from Nate Silver at the New York Times suggesting she is a favorite right now to win the popular vote. But Trump still has a lead on the Electoral College. And that is the reality of getting elected in the U.S. presidency. You got to win the Electoral College. So what would your advice be to people who are looking at the Harris strategy and trying to turn the momentum into real practical victory?
Again, I offer this just as a caution, Alex, which is that they've run in 2 presidential elections. They know their voters. That's a huge advantage for Trump. They know who voted over the 16 and 20. We don't know necessarily exactly all the voter universe for Harris. I think it could be larger, right? If you look at Obama in 08, it could be larger if young people turn out in large numbers. But it means that the work for us is that much harder to make sure we're trying to reach out beyond what might have been the Biden turnout vote. And try to talk to people and not assume that we already know where they're at, because Harris could turn and move persuasion in one way, and it also could, quite frankly, move in the other way. But it's going to require that organizing person to person.
Faz Shakir, always good to talk to you, my friend. Thanks for being here tonight.